Good evening, everybody. This is Zero Hour Productions finally live. Starting off Super Stigma Slam 2018. I'm your host for the evening, Mr. Bond. Our first run tonight is a run of Legend of Zelda Link's Adventure, right? For the Famicom Disk System, I will let her introduce her own run. Our deepest apologies for the delayed start. We had typical marathon luck with some of our hardware. But you'll be hearing me talk plenty more later on tonight. So for the moment, I will pass it off to Eon to get her run kicked off.
All right. I am EnchantressOfNumbers, as Mr. Bond just said, and this is Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, or if you can read the anime there, it's actually The Legend of Zelda 2 Link no Boken, because I am playing on the Famicom Disk System. So I am going to go ahead and just get started. I will let you know when to start the timer, because it's on character control, so and I have to flip the disc and all that jazz. Change side B. All right. Wait. We'll see that a lot. And in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so here we go. You can already probably see some differences from the US release. The water is moving. The overworld encounters are ghosts. And so here we go. This is 100% all keys, so of course I have to go to Magic Cave first. The cool thing about this is that the level up system is completely different from the US release. So I don't actually need to get a P-bag in this cave. I did not get one, but that's okay because I'm still going to be able to get attack 6, possibly attack 7 out of Palace 1. So and if you're familiar with the US release, you're probably wondering, how am I going to get attack 6 or 7 when the US release, we always try to get attack 4? Well, that is just because in this version, you can pick any level up you want when it comes time to level up. So, and the experience requirements for the level ups are much lower, so it ends up working out very nicely. So now we're in the town of Rauru, and we're going to get the shield spell. So since this is 100% all keys, that means that we have to collect every spell, we have to collect every sword technique, we have to collect every permanent overworld item and palace item, we have to place every gem in the palaces. And we get the awesome FM synthesis expansion audio from the Famicom Disk System, so we get these cool sound effects that you don't get in the American or European releases of this game. So now that we are armed with the shield spell, it's time to make our way up into Parappa Desert. And of course we gotta wait. Alright, so now I'm gonna pause for an encounter manipulation. So we don't take an encounter here, and making our way over to, first we gotta get a heart container south of the palace. So there is a encounter skip called the bubble skip that we'll hopefully be able to get. Oh, and okay, those fairy spawns behaved okay. So now we're gonna wait here and try to take an encounter on the same tile as a fixed encounter, and we did. So I actually skipped an overworld encounter there. We'll see it on the way back. But first I gotta get this heart container. One other thing you may have noticed, I already have attack 2, but I have been stabbing the items to pick them up instead of holding them over my head. That is another difference from the Famicom version. So alright, so this is the bubble encounter that everyone hates. The bubbles, of course, always knock you to the right. So this is a much more dangerous encounter going this direction. Alright, and now finally making our way up to Palace 1. And here we go. Starting the music. Those of you who are fans of Super Smash Bros. Probably will recognize this music. Also, the elevators are very slow. They move 50% slower than the elevators in the North American and European releases. So that's one thing people do not like about this game is I believe these elevators move 1 pixel per frame, and in the US and PAL releases, they move at 1.5 pixels per frame or something like that. I don't know. But it's noticeably slower and actually does cause some issues with some of the enemies, how they spawn. But we'll see that later. Other notable exception or notable differences, these tin suits that I'm killing here, they do not steal any experience in this version. That's one thing everyone hates about the US version, is that they steal 10 XP every time you get hit, and they don't give you any when you kill them. Here they don't give you any, but they also don't steal any, so... Okay. Well, I took damage I shouldn't have there, but that's okay. Gonna hop over these Stalfos, mostly because of... That's the strategy on the US release, and it actually nets me 20 extra experience on the US release to do that. And I don't... The experience got rescaled when they localized the game for other regions, and so I don't actually know how much additional XP I get. I think it might even be 30 in this version. I probably could figure it out if I... Alright, got attack 3, so this is... Normally by now I would only just be getting attack 2 on the US version. Oh shoot, that bot... Oh gosh. Well, this is a great start. Good thing about Palace 1 is there is a ferry that we can get to refill our life, and I will probably do that on my way down to the boss just for marathon safety. Alright, hopping over, and manipulated that skull bubble by stabbing the wall on the screen above, and I'm going to do that same manipulation here. That's going to make these skull bubbles spawn slightly lower, and so I can get through without taking damage. And that worked, so I'm not a liar. Okay, that bot was gonna try to troll me if I jumped over him, so... Alright, and now attack 4. I forget that the Iron Knuckles AI wakes up faster on the Famicom Disk System version, so that's why I took that hit. Hopefully I won't forget that in the future, so... but yeah, definitely with this low health I am gonna get that fairy, because I really don't like to take a death in Palace 1 if I can avoid it. Alright. And then I'm going to jump right here to manipulate that skull bubble, and now I won't have to worry about anything on my way out of this room. And so this is my first chance for a drop. I need 200 P-bags to leave the palace. Oh, I'm not going to leave with attack 7. I'm only going to get attack 6. That's okay. We'll still get attack 8 before the hammer, so... Alright. So, making our way over to the boss. And I forgot again, so go me. I have one more shot to remember in this palace. But the nice thing is that with power leveling attack, it won't really be an issue much more in the game, because I'll be attack 8 in the next palace I do. There we go. Oh, double jarred even, wow. I guess I'm only gonna get attack 5 out of here, that's... Oh, Horsehead roars in this version? And that was a real sloppy fight. Oh, no, I guess I forgot how much XP Horsehead gives in this version. As I said before, I'm mostly familiar with the XP values in the NES version, and they were rescaled from the 2, so I don't exactly know how much everyone gives in this version, so... Okay, gotta wait. Palace turns to a rock. And now on our way over to get the trophy from the cave from the gorilla who stole it. So the trophy will let us get the jump spell, which is technically not required, but kind of is. You can take a damage boost on a bat in the what we call jump cave, but that's pretty random and not something you would generally do in a marathon. Also, we need to get everything, so... Okay. For some reason, I thought that gorilla was going to go down in a single hit. Okay. Alright, and now over to the town of Ruto. A lot of speedrunners just call these towns by the name of the spell that you get from them. But if you play the Zelda 2 randomizer, it's helpful to know the actual name because you don't get the same spell from them in the randomizer, which, spoiler, will be coming up later in the marathon. Alright. Oh, yeah, anytime. Yeah.
We have a $50 donation from Kij Casa. Thank you very much. No comment included. Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
We have a $1,000 donation from Bernie. Comment, because the cause is just. Thank you very, very, very much
Bernie.
for your generosity.
Alright, making our way south into Jump Cave. Oh, shoot. Alright. So normally you'd be at a much lower attack level. And so the gorillas with their boomerangs are, in my opinion, the hardest early enemy that you face in the game. I guess I should explain a little bit about the level up system in this game. So the downside to being able to power level attacks so early like this is the game will actually, if you take a game over, it will reset all of your levels to your lowest. So right now I'm at attack 6, magic 1, life 1. If I take a game over, I will be at attack 1, life 1, magic 1. If I were, say, 8, 2, 3, everything would reset to 2. So, oh, and I went 1 tile too early. This is not good. Gotta keep it interesting. So, going into the forest to find Bagu. There's a hint in the town that we need to talk to him so that we can cross the river to get down into the Death Mountain area. And Death Mountain is where the hammer is, and it's the first real difficulty spike in the run, so in the game, really. I'm gonna take this pretty safe because I don't want to take a game over from these Bagos, or trollfish, as we often call them. Alright, so... into the river town of Saria. And I'm going to apologize for all the beeping. I got to do a little bit of questing before I can refill my life. But this woman in this house right here has lost her mirror, and so we have to go find her mirror. And I don't know what happened, but this house that only contains a table, the mirror is underneath it. I don't know what this house is used for. Presumably it's a communal eating place for the town. I don't know. Alright, and so we returned the mirror, and now we can go talk to the old man in the basement. So... Alright, so now... just gonna refill magic and life on my way out of town, and we'll be crossing the river and going into Death Mountain. The hammer basically lets us get the fairy spell as early as possible, and the downstab technique, which is, they're two real important things. Although the fairy spell is slightly less important in this version than in the NES release. Because in this version you cannot pick up any items as a fairy. And also in the 100% all keys route we can't fairy through doors either, so it still ends up being the fastest way to route everything. But it is, the fairy spell is not quite as useful in this version, so... Alright, and now we're into Death Mountain. Okay. But it is nice to just be able to, like, cut through all these enemies like butter. Okay. Ah, got all three of them there. Alright, attack 7, so well on our way to attack 8. Perfect. Those bots definitely like to troll. So those little blue enemies that jump around, they're called bots, and they have very random movement, and they are the least favorite enemy, I think, of all speedrunners of this game. Coming up in the next room are some red variants. These are called bits, and the bits cannot jump. They just kind of wiggle and go side to side. They are actually sweeties. If you don't believe me, just ask community Z2 speedrunner rep 2369, I think is his number. I can't remember. Everyone just calls him rep. All right, we got attack 8. So that's good. I'm going to go ahead and refill my life. Heck. Okay. Okay. So now we're at 811. I messed up my jump input there, but that's okay. So now the rest of the run, I'm going to be distributing my levels between magic and life with an emphasis on magic. Just because when you level up your magic, that will make spells cheaper. Oh, hey, another P bag. That is awesome. And got the hammer, and we're going to actually get a chance. I'm going to take the life level up right here. But then I'm going to take a number of magic level ups before I go for life again. So the level up route is not as well defined in this as it is for the NES release, just because you just kind of take the level ups as you get them for all keys. The most important part is getting attack early so that you can kill the enemies as quickly as possible. So, dang it. Alright, and now that we have the hammer, we can use it right away to break open Spectacle Rock and get a magic container. Also, a neat tidbit of information. This area of the map right here is actually the map from Zelda 1. If you pull up the two side by side, it's actually really neat. You can see all the features and stuff. Okay. Well, that's fine. Alright, making our way out of Death Mountain, and we do not have to return back here, so that's good. Alright, this long bridge, got a couple of moblins and a louder on this screen, but, oh, wow. That was my own fault. Okay, so now we have some bubbles and a red Dyra. And again, that was my own fault for not swinging the sword early enough. So, trying to set up here an encounter manipulation known as the boulder dash. And so what I want to do is take an encounter one tile to the left of this boulder. Okay, they're not coming for me, so I'm just going to go do a backup strat. This is to get encounter free to the medicine cave. So I backtrack here. And perfect. So I should be able to get all the way up to this boulder and into this cave without taking an encounter. So it's slightly faster if you get a quick encounter just left of the boulder, but it ends up working out the same way. Just saves a little bit of time. Alright, and here we are in the medicine cave. And this room is a lot easier with attack 8. Okay, got the medicine. So the medicine is necessary so that we can get the fairy spell from the town of Mido. The woman in the house has a sick child and needs the water of life. And so that's what we just got. Gonna get a 1-up doll right here. Okay. Hey, that worked out really well, actually. And, of course, didn't get a back spawn, but that's okay. So, heading up into the town of Mido. We can get, actually, the first of our sword techniques in this town, the downstab. And everyone says that the downstab is the best technique. I don't disagree. But I do feel like the second sword technique, the upstab, does get the short end of the stick. Alright. So you may also notice that this character is a different sprite from what is in the NES version. They did, as part of the localization, they did add a few new sprites to the game. Also, if you look really closely at Link's face, he doesn't really have much of a mouth in this version, but he does in the NES release. So that was just a small tweak they made to that character art in the US release. So just returned the water, just gave the water of life to the old woman, and now we can get the fairy spell. Because this magic word will give you power. Alright, queuing up the fairy spell. And so now we're gonna make our way to Palace 2, but make a slight detour on the way to pick up a heart container. Wait. Alright, so now this is a little bit of an encounter walk to get here without an encounter. And we're already putting that down stab to good use. Oh, yeah, I should grab that. I don't know why I sort of hesitated. Actually, I really didn't need to grab that, but that's okay. So, here we go. Got the heart container. And headed over to Palace 2. Gotta go through the swamp, though. The Medora Swamp, I think is what it's called. Alright, gonna try to get a good swamp walk here. Okay. So I'm gonna take an encounter on the path. That's fine. Ideally, I would have gotten at least one back spawn back there. Oh, I walked up too early there. Okay, that's fine. Oh, good spawn there. Alright, I will take that walk any day of the week. So the next difference you'll notice is, hey, this looks like Palace 1. And you would be right, they did not add nearly so many custom palace colors and tile sets for the Famicom release. Those did not come out till the US and Europe releases. I guess I should say North America and Europe. So that's one thing that's a little disorienting for people the first time they start running, if they play the Japanese release, being used to the global release, is you can't tell based on the colors which palace you're in. Okay, so gonna go ahead and take Magic 2 here. So... But yeah, so the really cool thing is you end up actually with levels comparable to the levels in the US release in this, but you definitely front load a lot of those levels, which is kind of neat. I don't know why I did it like that, but okay. Oh, key hitboxes. Alright, and... Oh, don't really need... At this point, I don't really need any P-bags, honestly. I mean, they're helpful, but the 50 P-bags generally are slower to pick them up than they're worth, so... Okay. Ouch. Alright, in everyone's least favorite room in the game, these bots can really troll you, which is why I cast Fairy after that. They move randomly and they can always knock you into the lava. Any room that combines both bots and lava is just a recipe for badness. Okay. And now I'll actually get another magic jar right here. Well, if I can... Okay. Slightly awkward movement there. So... Because the elevator moves so slowly, that's kind of a problem. And of course I already lost my beams. I think that's the longest I've ever kept Beam Sword in this game. Ouch. So it's a real jerk move there, putting those blocks there, falling down at you when you can't even break them yet. So we're on our way to get the item of this palace, the glove. Ouch. That was not good. Okay. Now we can break these blocks. I'm just gonna do that. A little bit slow, but I don't want to take any extra damage that I don't need to, so I'm gonna go ahead and queue up life so that when I need to, I can cast it. So normally, if the elevators move fast enough, I could take out that flying Moa, but in this release, they don't move quite fast enough to make it worthwhile. Oh, I'm actually going to get that to... And I'm going to cast life, because I'm going to get a magic level up real soon. And... okay. Perfect. That room's deceptively difficult to make it through without taking damage. Those turrets are real hard to avoid. Pause there so we don't take damage from the skull bubble. And gotta get another key. Gotta get all the keys, I think, right? Isn't that what I'm supposed to do?
I believe 100% keys is the name of the category.
Actually, full category name is 100% all keys, 1 credit clear Famicom Disk System.
That's way too much.
It's a word salad. All right. So then the cool thing, at this point, I don't really have to kill anything because there's not enough enemies left to get another level up before the boss, so just gonna skip most everything. And we'll end with 8. Oh, well, we'll end with 8 after the gem, 842, so say hi to Helmet Head, say bye to Helmet Head. Alright, and Gem 2 is placed. We only have 4 more of these to do, so gonna queue up Fairy Spell during the fanfare. You don't actually lose any time for that menu. Take Magic 4. And now we gotta make our way back out of the swamp, which is a little bit slow and frustrating, and will probably take way more encounters than we want to, so. Okay, yeah, took 1 on the path, because those are shorter. And can we... Gonna take 1 there. That's fine. Well, we made it pretty far. And probably gonna take 1 on the other side of this boulder. Oh no! So, okay, we don't actually want to go into King's Tomb there. I'm gonna wait for... Oh. Okay, there we go. Want to take an encounter because that, grave marker off by itself is actually an encounter with enemies in this version. That's another difference between the two. Between the global release and the Japanese release. Alright. Okay, and... Perfect. Made it all the way up to Palace 3. We'll take that, I guess. I was really kind of hoping for a red jar to drop. But here we do see a different color palette, which is pretty cool. All right. So, kind of killing some things so that I can get an additional magic level in this palace. I'll probably take magic during the palace and life from the gem, just so I can get life 3 before heading to the eastern continent. Okay, gotta get this key in the floor. Ouch. Guess I'm not taking out that enemy. Alright, perfect. Okay, made it out of there. That's a 4-tile jump, which is actually really difficult to make. Now we're outside in the courtyard. Gotta get that key outside. I figure that key probably would have rusted by now. Just being outside and exposed to the elements. I don't know how good that key's gonna work for us. Alright, and now we have another room combining our 2 favorite things, bots and lava. This is a very dangerous room. Alright, but we are good. I'm gonna... I can't cast life yet. Okay. And now we see our first blue iron knuckle coming up, and made short work of him. Take magic 5. Got the raft, so now we have access to the eastern continent. So that jackhammer technique is really the main reason why I don't know why I didn't cast Jump Spell here, because this room is so much safer with Jump. But we made it okay, so I'm not gonna complain. Oh, come on. That jar on the US release is very... Well, they say it's 50-50 jar or red iron knuckle. It feels like it's about 20% of the time it's a red jar. Oh, my diagonal definitely didn't work there. I don't think I can get another level up, but we'll see. So everyone's favorite Minecraft room. We'll see this room again 2 more times. This is the most dangerous one because we don't have the upstab technique. But made it through without damage, so cannot complain about that. And now making our way to the boss. Rebenak, or Rebel Knuckle. He's in a blue iron knuckle that rides a floating horse. I guess he's a rebel because it's supposed to be like a motorcycle or something. I don't know all the lore. I know you gotta respect the lore, but that's all I know. Alright, so here we go. Oh. We got to ride the horse, so we got full swag. Queuing up the fairy spell, although... Alright, taking life 3 here. Enemies on the eastern continent hit very hard, and so taking life 3 is a pretty good safety measure. Alright, and made it out without an encounter. come on. So I hit jump and attack on the same frame and caused me to lose all my momentum and take that damage. So, was trying to do a rising crouch stab where you hit the stab shortly after hitting jump. Okay, I'm gonna... Okay, good. Took an encounter there, so I can get all the way up to here and to the eastern continent. Also, the raft animation is different. It's a different sprite for Link in this version, so check it out. Beautiful, I know. Okay, made it all the way to the town of Naburu, and if you know someone by the name of the Greenleaf Effect, or TGE, he has a very famous rant about this town. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to say there's a woman who says she's thirsty, and there's a fountain real close to her house that you wonder why she wouldn't get it. My theory is that she's under house arrest, so... So, some may call her lazy, but I think, you know, she's just abiding by the terms of, that the court set. So, anyway, we talk to the wise man in the basement and get the fire spell, which is actually, a lot of people call it the most useless spell in the game, and they're not wrong. It's actually even more useless in this version than it is in the NES version. Because the enemies in the US version that you require the fire spell to kill, in the US version do not require the fire spell in this one. So, there's no enemies that can only be killed by fire. Wait. Kind of want to make a ROM hack of this that just says wait for it. Alright, going through the cave up to this area we call... Oh, right. What? I don't have upstab. That's why that didn't work. I forgot my strats. Running multiple categories of this game, you can kind of confuse routes at times. So, making our way, that enemy random walked down, which is a little disheartening, but that's okay. So, each encounter takes about 7 seconds. So, you generally try to avoid those overworld encounters whenever possible. So here there's going to be a Lizalfos with a kidnapped child, and the child is bound, and so we're going to cut the bounds free. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Alright, so we needed to rescue the kidnapped child so that we can get the Reflect spell. And actually, I misspoke. So that we can get the Reflex spell. And the Reflex spell is required to defeat the boss of Palace 4. So, getting another one up, and gonna wait for an encounter manipulation known as the Dazzle Walk. Basically, we wait for those enemies to spawn, then we walk up to here, and I'm gonna take another step up, and now basically should be able to get all the way over here without an encounter, and that was basically a textbook Dazzle Walk. So Dazzle being a member of the community who discovered the strat, so. Alright, got both encounter skips, so right there were 2 overworld encounters, and it's actually faster to skip them by taking overworld encounters instead of taking the encounter, going through the overworld encounter itself. So gonna go ahead, cast some magic so I can refill it. Here we're gonna get the second sword technique, and I'm gonna do a neat trick that was discovered somewhat recently. If you crouch when you cast the fairy spell, you can go down the chimney as a fairy, and we call that the Fairy Claws. That was discovered by speedrunner Highlander GCB _. So, and this gives us the upstab, which I would say is the most underrated sword technique in the game. Mostly because everyone says it's useless. Alright, and making our way over to return the kidnapped child to his family, and then we will get the Reflex spell. And this is, I'm not misspeaking when I say Reflex. That's what it says in the game. In translation, they actually updated it to say Reflect. So... I'll give you a second to see it here. So, see? Reflex with an X. Alright. So, moving on, now we're onto the Maize Return, and that's really where there's no known encounter manipulations for it. It's all just reading the encounters and trying to do the best you can, so... Okay, good encounter skip. That's the worst of the two encounters. I'm actually going to take the next one just because it does a little bit with shifting your position, or you go one tile lower on the map going through it, which impacts the spawns of the enemies a little bit, so I like to take that encounter. Okay. Ah, dang it. So... almost made it through there, gonna... Okay. I paused one tile too late. So trying to read these encounters is a little bit tricky, and I did not so great. Now we're back in the maze.
Do we have time for a quick donation?
Yes, of course.
We got a $20 donation from Seraph4, who says heart.
Aww. Thank you, Seraph. So, gonna get a magic container here. And then, so we have to take the long route to get this magic container, but then the rest of the way, we also take basically the longest route because it has the fewest encounters. I walked one tile too far there. But there's a bunch of overworld encounters such as this one. And if you try to go a, quote, more efficient route, I'm actually going to go back and get that. Okay. If you try to take a more efficient route, you'll get more encounters, and it's actually slower, so... Okay. Okay, and... wait. Into Palace 4. Alright, got my beam sword back. Gonna queue up jump spell. And here we see Wizrobes. Those are enemies that can only be killed with the Reflect spell. Which means that we won't actually be killing any of them. Alright, and... got a big jump up here, so gonna go ahead and make our way across the pit. Okay. So normally we would take death abuses in these rooms to refill magic, and it saves about 3 seconds of walking back through the room. But being a marathon, I want a little bit of safety of having some extra lives, so... hot strats right there. Alright, we'll get magic 6 in this room. Sneakily got that life cast off just before the level up happened, so always good to do that. Did I definitely queued up jump, didn't I? Okay. It's easy to forget that. Here we'll see a first use of the... Oh, no! I was gonna get that enemy with the upstab, but and I forgot that Skull Bubble is an additional enemy to this release. It's not there in the US release. There should have actually been a second one, and it despawned, probably because I got the P-Bag drop, so... Not gonna complain about Skull Bubble despawning on me. So these unicorn heads are trouble. Don't mess with them while you're on the Crumble Bridge. They will just make things miserable. Okay. Took some damage there. The Wizrobes also, they tend to spawn much more aggressively in this version as compared to the North American and European releases. Okay. Not my best Minecraft room, I will say. Queuing up jump for the future, so... What's up? Yeah, go for it.
Got $100 from Megmac Attack. Comment, this donation is really for the run with all the glitches.
Thanks, Meg. Yeah, actually, so I'm doing a run later in the marathon of the NES version that is called 100% as the category, and that is a very glitched run that Meg did a substantial portion of the routing on, so thank you so much to Meg for all of that hard work.
And $25 donation from Mrs. of Numbers. The comment, get all the keys, Eon.
Thank you, Mrs. of Numbers. You can probably guess who that is.
We have some in the crowd saying they don't get it.
Well, so the explanation is Mrs. of Numbers is my wife, and before we got married, her nickname was Fiance, spelled F-E-O-N-C-E-E. Or C. I don't know if I said one too many E's. Anyway, you get it. Now that we're married, that nickname doesn't really apply, so... And I just took an accidental death. So that's okay. I was probably going to take a death abuse in the next room. I just won't do that now. So... Alright. Oh, well... Okay. Getting those red jars. Not gonna complain about that, for sure. But yeah, so after there was a debate as to what her nickname was gonna be after we got married, and we settled on Mrs. of Numbers, because I thought it was funny, and so did she. Alright, so I should actually be able to get one level up off of the boss, which is cool. Actually, no, I'll get it before the boss. Unless I have a drop. I haven't been paying attention to my drop count, so... Taking that life level. Okay, queuing up the Reflex spell. And here we have Carrick. This is the highest execution boss of the thing. I should have queued up something so that I could tweet or make a donation while fighting this boss. I'm actually on the wrong side. I should be on the left side. Because the spawn is bad that it... Getting confused on versions. This version, it's better to be on the left side. Anyway. Didn't die, so that's good. Queuing up the fairy spell for Palace 5. Alright, so Palace 5 is a really exciting palace in the Famicom Disk System version. It has a couple notable differences, which will be cool to point out. One of them is that this Palace 5 actually has a mini-boss now that was not in the US release, so that's very cool. Some of you may know who that mini-boss is. Hashtag bring Horsehead back to Palace 5.
We have a question from chat. How often does version confusion kill a run when you're actually shooting for a PB?
Typically not very often because, if I'm shooting for a PB, I am typically just running the same version and category and not switching between very often. So once you get settled into the category, it's easy to remember. Also, I ferried and then went... Oh, dang it. Gotta remember not to forget that key. Shoot. That can be a real easy key to forget if you ferry across there and then you get to a door and you can't get through, so... there is a technique called the eco key that you can use to get that key, which I don't normally do. Alright, so if there are, instead of wizrobes in this palace, there are magos. These are orange wizards that shoot fire, and they can be real frustrating, but they give a lot of experience, and if I take out a few of them, I can get an extra level from this palace, so... Okay, let's cast Jump. Of course, we're getting a very helpful block pattern, and that was... You might have noticed a touch of sarcasm there. Alright. Oh, we despawned one of the Iron Knuckles. I do that regularly, and I don't even know how that happens. But there should have been 3 orange Iron Knuckles in that room. Okay, queuing up Jump for the next room. All right. So the nice thing about... Oh, here we go. So this is a blue Iron Knuckle. Wait, what? There was Horsehead again. Didn't get to hear the roar. But it's a neat touch that they took out of the US release. Now we're walking through the wall. In one of the towns, there's a hint about that, so... And that key door is not in the US release. But now we're gonna go down the elevator to get the manual calls it a flute, but it's got a trumpeted end and kind of looks like a plunger, so you decide what it is. Alright, and now making our way up to get the... Oh, nice. I think I've taken out enough of the Magos to get the level up. Which is good, that means we'll get life 5 out of here. And magic 8, so... Well, now we definitely have enough experience. Alright, can we get the swag key? Oh, did not get the swag key grab. That's plus 2 minutes on the run. Not a lot of people know about this jar right there, but that's there in the North American and European releases as well, so... I mean, it's labeled in maps and stuff, but I hear a lot of times players, like new players or randomizer players, say they didn't even know that jar was there, so... Alright. And there's one more key yet to get in this palace, so gotta go down the elevator. This is a very long... This is actually the longest palace outside of Great Palace. So the longest palace that you have to place a gem in. Oh, actually... Alright, getting life 5 here. Which will be good for the Goomba fight coming up. Of course, those in the know remember that Goomba was not actually in the Famicom Disk System version. Instead, we're gonna see a refight of Helmet Head. So... and actually the Goomba fight, I think Goomba is the hardest boss in the game. So that makes this a little bit easier, but I think that Goomba is a better boss than fighting Helmet Head again. Although Helmet Head's a bit stronger in this fight, so that's kind of cool. But still, it's not much of a fight. Ah, dang it. A little bit slow. Alright. Only one more gem left to place. Alright, gotta make our way north to get the second to last heart container. Alright. And now, gonna queue up Fairy, and gonna try to do a manipulation known as the River Dance, which is gonna, if I do it correctly, I will be able to skip an overworld encounter. What I need to do is take an extra step, and then pause a little bit, and make a mad dash for the River Devil, which is a different sprite. Also, the flute is a different sound, and I went early. I had the manipulation, and I just went early. So... Alright, flying through the Wilson fences is a little bit easier and safer. I guess now's the perfect time to say hi-de-ho there, neighbor. If you don't get the reference, you need to become more familiar with 90s sitcom television, so... Actually, you probably don't. Okay, hey, that was actually really good. Didn't take an encounter. Oh, hey. I'm gonna do that. Dang it. Should have waited to refill my life. Dang it. I walked poorly there. And of course I'm just taking all the damage, because why not? So I kind of want full life in here because I want to show off a neat thing. In the basements in this town, there are two items. There's the magical key and a magic container. And you collect those items with the sword, but for some reason in the Famicom Disk System version, you can actually collect them with your sword beam. And if you time things properly, you can actually do a beam wrap on the left side of the screen to collect the item on the right. So I'm going to try to do it. I don't know, I'm not very good at it, so I'm probably going to miss it, but if I don't get the beam wrap, I'll still collect them with the beam, so. Also, got to do... Oh, didn't get a swag pose. I'd give that about a 7 out of 10. Alright, so... didn't even get the beam to shoot left, so... Shame. So... Don't worry though, there's one more chance. Can try to get the beam wrap on the magic container. And it saves like half a second, maybe a second. Alright, let's... Still didn't get the beam beam to shoot to the left. Everyone put up your shame emotes in chat. Alright, so that's everything from this town, and now we're on our way to Palace 6, the Hidden Palace, or 3-Eye Rock Palace, so... Alright, so this is a real tough spot to go without encounters. Okay. I paused one tile too late to be able to slink that encounter. Okay, one encounter to the heart's not bad. So play the flute in the middle of the three-eye rock and the palace appears. That was not a friendly spawn. Alright, and... okay. This room is real frustrating on the Famicom Disk System version because the Wizrobes also spawn... they spawn more aggressively, and usually it's more so on the way back, but you can take a lot of damage in that room. Hey, pinned that skull bubble back, nice. That skull bubble can cause a lot of trouble. Also, hooray, missing my jump input. Alright, and in this room is an invisible pit known as the Canadian Hole among the community. It's right there, I just jumped over it. And you may ask yourself why we call it the Canadian Hole. It was actually named by a Canadian speedrunner. So, during a tournament for 100% all keys one year, a bunch of Canadian speedrunners fell into that pit, and so one of them decided to name it after all of them and call it the Canadian Hole. So... So we've missed it again, which is good. On the way out, the Canadian Hole loses maybe 10 seconds or so. I don't know. It loses like almost a minute if you fall into it on the way going to the cross. And I cannot do 4-tile jumps. There we go. That skull bubble has a different pattern from the NES release. Normally, if you break that block, you can release that skull bubble. That one spawned, like, right on top of me. Those Wizrobes are rude. Did not get the ceiling walk. We're not going to be walking on life bars tonight. This time we don't have bots in this lava room, but we have these unicorn heads, which are pretty bad, and these mews, which are pretty similar to bots. Although the mews don't tend to change directions, which is nice. Queuing up fairy for the next room. So, no way to make it across this room without the fairy spell. That was pretty nice to get a little bit of a life refill there. So the boss of this palace is Volvagia, which is the same name as the boss in Ocarina of Time. The NES release, the boss is called Barba, which is probably partly a translation mistake, but also it's a different sprite in the NES version, so you'll get to see This version's a different sprite and also actually a fair amount more difficult. I've only died the one time, so I will try at least once to do the jackhammer on it, which is quite a bit harder in this version, but saves a lot more time, so... And if you don't stop in this room, you can go all the way and it'll spawn in the rightmost pit. Got it. That's actually pretty difficult to do, so... I really thought I was going to fall into the lava after getting the kill, so I'm pretty excited about that. Alright, making our way over to Old Kasuto to get the final spell of the game. So, and actually, 886 levels right here, this is the same exact levels that I would have in US release All Keys run, so, which is kind of cool that it works out that way. The cross that we got in Palace 6 lets us see the MOAs in this town, as well as in Valley of Death, so... Or VOD as we call it, just the initials. Okay. Got the Thunder Spell, and the Thunder Spell, of course, is required to be able to deal damage to Thunderbird, the penultimate boss of the game, but also kind of the true final boss. Alright. Casting Fairy across these bridges for safety, because those Bogos can really troll you and knock you into the water, and that's just not a good time for anyone. Alright, so now we've seen some encounter skips before, and I'm going to make heavy use of encounter skips coming here in Valley of Death. The lava is also animated, which is really cool. Okay, I did not get that encounter skip. I'm going to scroll the screen to the right here, because I don't want to despawn a red jar coming up. Okay, got the encounter skip. So if you don't do that, there are some circumstances you can actually despawn that red jar. So I'm going to make liberal use of the spell, just to make this a little bit easier to make my way through, since I don't have beam swords. I was a little impatient, so... I thought the enemy was going to come from behind. Okay, got the encounter skip there. But yeah, you really don't want to do the fixed encounters in Valley of Death. Oh, come on. Thought I had that. Yeah, so the overworld enemies have different hitboxes. Oh! So that was actually a frame perfect encounter skip, because I took the encounter from behind while going through, so that's actually super cool and really difficult, and you almost never get those, so. Alright, one last encounter skip after this room. Okay, Max was good. We call that Scorpion Max after the speedrunner Scorpion Max. Oh, dang it, I did not press up quickly enough, so I'm gonna have to give it another shot for this encounter. They always do that. I'm doing a poor job at reading these encounters. Okay, got that one. Alright, and now on our way into Great Palace with the epic music. Change side A. The whole game was on side B except for now Great Palace. So yeah, in my IMO, this is the best music in the game. Alright, skipping the spicy chicken. So the spicy chickens and the bird knights in this palace have different names that can be easily mispronounced, and so we'll just call them bird knights and spicy chickens. But also, I really think that this, the name spicy chicken is perfect for those flame-throwing birds. Oh shoot, that's real bad. Well, okay. That's okay, got plenty of lives left. Because marathon safety, we didn't really take any death abuses. Alright, here's our first bird knight, and of course, that bird knight wanted to be a bit of a jerk, so normally you would just skip him, but he was kind of in my way. Heck. Okay. Gonna try for a red jar one time. Okay, didn't get it, that's fine. So this is one of the more dangerous rooms in the run. This bird knight can really mess you up. And I didn't do the thing correctly. Heck. Okay, made it up there, now we're safe. But yeah, that's a room you can have a real bad time in. Alright, made it past that spicy chicken. One more bird knight to contend with. This one is playing a bit nicer. Only a bit, though. I'm gonna go ahead and cast Light. And actually, I think I can cast Fairy. I'm gonna take an intentional death to refill magic, so I'm just gonna Fairy over this spicy chicken. Okay, fall through the invisible hole in the floor, and everyone's favorite, don't get Buzz Thundered. Alright. So, that's a perfect place to refill your life and magic, so... Because it's right before Thunderbird. And with Magic 8, we can cast the full complement of spells against Thunderbird, so... Jump, shield, reflex, and thunder, so... Thunderbird also roars. Alright, there we go. Thunderbird is down. No damage taken. Gonna queue up shield. Darklink can be a bit more of a troll in this version than the NES version. It's actually even possible that he could be in a state where I can't even damage him, so let's hope we don't get that. Alright, there we go, and time.
1:25:28.
Hey, that's pretty good. With load time subtracted out, I don't know what those are. That might... I don't think that's a PB for me, but that's not too far off. Subtracting out the load times, so... I think it's like 3 minutes of load times on average with the method of playing I'm using, so... Anyway, so that was Zelda 2 on the Famicom Disk System with the 100% all keys category. Stay tuned because coming up next we have Krim doing a run of Final Fantasy III, the Famicom version. So that's going to be super awesome and you don't want to miss that.
Okay, thank you very much, Eon. We will need to take a short stream break to adjust some settings, but we'll be back in a moment. Thank you very much for your patience.